everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been around for a little while. So today I'm going to talk about something that really I didn't think concerned me until this past weekend happened, and I realized that some of my plans and ambitions for this year might end up faltering due to the coronavirus. This is going to be a discussion video, so if you are new here and you haven't been to one of my discussions before, hey, thanks for joining me today. Also, the purpose of these videos are just to kind of have a discussion, plain and simple. I kind of spew some of my information that's running around in my head and my thoughts, and I just try to ask for you guys to kind of let me know what your opinions are down below. This video is not really researched. It's just kind of my, again, tumbling of brainwaves, all of these thoughts kind of mushing out, and here's what I have for you. There probably could be research out there, but I still think the coronavirus and all the statistics are just so new that we really don't know the impact on certain things right now. But you can kind of apply like what we've been talking about and seeing large scale to the small scale of the writing community itself. I am going to split this video into a few different sections based on the kind of collective groups of people that I think the coronavirus is going to impact. With every video, I do have a beverage. Today, I'm drinking the matcha green tea latte from Dunkin'. This isn't a plug, but Dunkin' Donuts, you can sponsor me whenever you want because I am obsessed with this drink, and I don't know why. It's just so dang delicious. I used to love the Starbucks one, but you see this large here? This large drink was under $5, and it was actually free today because I bought it all weekend and I got myself enough points to get a free one today. But still, under $5 for this massive thing, and Starbucks, you can't compete. This drink is gigantic, and your $5 is a small. Okay. All right, that was a rant. Let's move on. With all my discussion videos, sit back, relax, grab yourself a beverage of your choice, and let's jump into the topic. So the first kind of community of people within the writing community that I think the coronavirus is currently impacting are plain and simply the fans. I've definitely seen this kind of running amok through all of the kind of communities, the Instagram community, the Twitter community, and on YouTube. The fans are definitely going to be impacted by the coronavirus, and if you haven't seen already, there are tons and tons of book tours that are being canceled right now because the coronavirus is so running amok and it's so dangerous. I think for the most part, I've definitely seen the community is relatively reacting positively. Like everyone is kind of trying to be understanding of like, you know, I understand your health has to be considered and, you know, the health of your fans is important. But I have seen some people who are just like beyond themselves angry because, you know, they were expecting this or they made plans and that's, you know, to be fair, it is kind of very frustrating when you have your eyes and your mind set on something and this totally unpredictable element comes in and washes everything away. It sucks, you know, it's like a rug has been pulled out from underneath you. But other than the few people who have been, you know, pretty much drastically talking about their disdain over these cancellations, overall, it is relatively positive. Now, how exactly does this impact the fans? Well, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider. A lot of these events and book tours and signings that people have going on for their book releases or just, you know, themselves as like promoting themselves as authors. Some of these things, you know, take time and advanced preparation. I know people, you know, might have to go get travel plans. If they don't drive, they might have to figure out, you know, bus schedules or planes. They might have to get hotel rooms to put themselves up in. And although I do think there's probably going to be, it's going to probably be easier going. I do know hotels, like, you know, you can cancel up to certain points. Hopefully most people won't end up losing out too much money because they aren't able to travel. But on a much smaller scale too, I mean, as of now, I don't see this becoming, as of now, I don't see it as big of a problem. But there is starting to be, you know, travel bans out of the country. Like I said, I know authors have been canceling worldwide tours. And the other thing is, too, there could be restrictions on what's being sent in the mail. It's my understanding, I believe, that the coronavirus can live on surfaces up to a certain amount of time. Which, if that's the case, and, you know, someone can definitely fact check me down below. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, this is a discussion. It's not an essay, I guess. But If that is the case, then I do think there are going to be mailing issues where they might, have to shut down post office or international mailing and stuff like that because of this dangerous, opportunity to have it travel even further. Right now, I don't think there has been any mailing restrictions. And like I said, if this is completely BS and the coronavirus cannot live on surfaces, then there's probably going to be no need to delay or shut down international mail. But in the event of fans, this could impact them. I know as an avid reader who has multiple collections from people who has bought book boxes in the past that have come from the United Kingdom and Canada, this could definitely present a big problem as fans can be disgruntled and dissuaded from buying things, and things that they're expecting might not be able to show up for quite some time. And especially the people who might not have it as fortunate, or if you have a UK based author and like their publishing house over there can't send it over, all of these different things could be a possible factor. Libraries won't be able to get them, fans won't be able to get them, and they might not have the means to go out and buy it locally and or audiobook or any other option. So all of that, is definitely one of those things to consider, that fans are definitely going to be disheartened by the opportunities that they're going to have to miss, especially because, if we think at the end of the day, with travel being restricted, people might need to take time off. People might need to find babysitters or animal sitters. There's a lot that goes into planning an event. And if they were planning this, there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to have the same overall luck when it comes to rescheduling, if it's going to be rescheduled. I'm thinking Sarah J. Maas was the most recent one that I saw. I mean, I've seen a couple, but she's one of the bigger names, and she canceled her UK, her US tour. And a lot of people, when I saw, like I said, they were understanding, but a lot of people were like, this sucks because I only had the time to take off now. There was a lot of different factors that play into being able to reschedule things in the size and vein that some of these events are going to be. So there is definitely that to consider, that if just because it's canceled now, if it gets rescheduled, doesn't mean that the fans are going to be able to turn up just because of their life circumstances. With all that being said, I'm going to move on to the next group of individuals in the writing community who this is going to impact, and that's the authors themselves. So not only are you looking at the fans who are being impacted, they can't go, they can't participate, they might not be able to go to a rescheduled date, the authors are going to suffer just as much. I'm going to bring up Sarah J. Maas again because she just had her debut in the adult category, the Crescent City book. I think House of Blood and I don't know, whatever the name is. Crescent City, I think, is like the book name itself. So Crescent City was released on March 3rd. And honestly, I have not seen many reviews and many people talking about it, which I found interesting just because I do follow so many Sarah J. Maas fans. But I definitely didn't think the hype was there. Following the coronavirus and its widespread destruction that it's causing, she did cancel both her UK and her US tours, and a lot of the complaints were that of we don't know if we can go. So again, it kind of looks at this dynamic of, are the authors going to be losing money because people aren't going to have the access to getting these books. Plus, there are some people who are very extreme and they don't even want to go outdoors. So are we going to end up losing these opportunities because people aren't even going to go to stores to buy it until this whole mess settles down? When you have such a big release such as Sarah J. Maas and her cult following that she has, if sales don't do well, that's going to hit her pretty hard. Similarly, with the book tour being canceled, she is probably going to lose out on profits, depending on if she just doesn't go at all, and or ends up rescheduling it if people can't go. This is going to impact a lot of the indie and smaller authors out there, I think even more, because some of these authors, need these events to really boost themselves. And I'm thinking of for instance, BookCon in June, there's YALLFest, YALLWest, all of these big conventions for books. There's a good chance right now that these conventions might have to get canceled this year. And that's terrifying to think about it. I know there was a small book festival about an hour and a half away. I will talk about this a little bit later, but that's already been canceled and rescheduled to the beginning of June. So sure, there's a little bit of optimism that we're not looking to it being, there's a good chance, BookCon will still be on, but we can't really, the coronavirus just kind of came out of nowhere and everything's been up in arms since then. So there's no guarantee that these things are going to be absolutely ended, absolutely done and over with or absolutely still going to be on in whatever case. So just think about how many authors are going to lose the opportunity for their marketing campaign if they're not able to promote the books that are coming out. This leads me into the next group of people, which I'm looking at, which is the smaller authors out there. Also the up and coming authors. I mean, bigger authors and authors who are already published, they're definitely going to take a hit, I think, financially, as well as just commercially. I mean, their whole marketing strategies and what have you are going to be limited because they're going to have to cancel events and tours and signings because of their health safeties. Plus, I mean, the other thing I say that I didn't mention about authors is too, when you're a fan, it's so easy to kind of think things can't touch you, or that, you know, it's like my family and everyone else, it doesn't matter. But authors do have family and lives as well. So they not only have to cancel for themselves, but also their families. If they have small infants or children, or they're taking care of the elderly, we don't know their entire lives. So we can't just assume that they're doing it selfishly. Plus, authors have to cancel too for the lives of their fans. I mean, sure, they might not know their fans as personally as like a brother, sister, or best friend, but they still are going to care because they want their fans to be able to come out and have a good time and not worry about getting sick. With up and coming authors, either authors who are trying to break out into the industry or who are awaiting their debut novel, publication, whatever, there could be a lot of tricky issues with this coronavirus and everything happening right now because of everything, again, being delayed, being canceled. I think, you know, if, again, we kind of go back to the international mail with debut authors, there's a good chance, you know, like depending on if they're with smaller indie presses or whatever, again, there could be some concerns with international travel, which might hinder the ability to market and, you know, do giveaways and all that kind of stuff. With bigger events possibly being canceled or even tours, you know, I see a lot of it, like Fierce Reads, I know, does like group tours for the young adult community where they'll have like 4, 5, 6 different authors kind of buddying and traveling all over the place. And some of them might be more established where others might be debuts. I did go to a Fierce Reads event last year where it was like that. There was 2 really big authors who were on the tour and then 2 that were releasing their debuts. And it was a good marketing strategy because I didn't know of these authors before I went there and I was really interested, and, you know, it was a good time. So think of those authors who aren't going to get the chance to travel and promote their book. And if they had no other kind of campaign or following or whatever, it could really hurt their sales. So a lot of it's just word of mouth and internet, and that's not always the best reliable source because everything in Instagram and BookTube and Twitter, it's kind of whoever screams the loudest. So if we have this smaller author or up and coming author, or, you know, someone trying to break into the industry in general, their voices might get panked down quite a bit that you're not going to see them. So without this kind of campaign that could go on, it's going to be hard for them to make the sales that they need to sustain in this community. So other than like the problems with the authors who are going to lose out on marketing, there's also the issue with aspiring to be published authors, such as myself, where events being canceled could be extremely detrimental to them breaking into the industry. I bring this up because on a personal level, as I said, I identify as like an aspiring to be published, up and coming author, writer, person, sure. As someone with this, at the end of this month, I was supposed to go on my first writing conference. Now, it's a small writing conference. It actually was free, which is what enticed me and my co-writer, Caitlin, to just say, let's go do it, let's try it, because it's a start into a bigger part of what we want. I was going to be able to talk to industry professionals there and just kind of get a feel for what conferences are like before I decide to jump into anything bigger and that possibly cost way more money. As I've mentioned previously in my some of my videos in the past, writers' conferences can be very, very pricey. They can be in big cities, which also means a lot of expense to travel and putting yourself up in a hotel room. So the reason I bring all of this up is because as of the moment I'm making this video, the Writers' Conference is not canceled. What concerns me, though, is that the Writers' Conference was going to be a Thursday and Friday at the end of the month that led into this city's first annual book festival where they were going to cater to like children and young adults, like much more on the younger scale, like middle grade. but it sounded like a really good time. The book festival was officially declared moved until June as of this past weekend, which is why I started to really think about how the coronavirus is going to impact the writing community. Because for someone like me who has been desperately excited to go on this writing retreat with my best friend, my co-writer, and just attending my first writers conference, as someone who might be able to make an impression or just make more connections in this community, this might be absolutely devastating if it gets postponed or canceled outright. I've been looking forward to this, like I said, for months. Now, I definitely understand that there are going to be challenges and they can't make these decisions lightly, which is why, if they end up moving it or canceling it, I completely understand. Like, I know that that's what they're going to have to do, but I don't know where I'm going to be at that time in my life if it does get postponed and if I can actually attend, which is the scary part. There's definitely things in my life that I already have planned out. I have 2 weddings this year. I'm in one of those weddings. So I have a bachelorette party and a bridal shower. My anniversary is in August. I know we're doing an OCR on our anniversary. So there's just a lot of things going on. Plus my co-writer, Caitlin, who I was supposed to go with, and we split the hotel room with for this end of the month. She also has a lot going on too, even more so planned than I do. Like, she's going to a convention in August, and I think she has something else planned too. So the farther that this thing gets removed from its original date, if it gets rescheduled at all, makes it harder for us to make sure that we can actually still go. So I bring this back to where I started with the up-and-coming authors and this impacting them, because events like this can be so crucial, especially the smaller ones where it's just the first step or your first toe in the water with this kind of event. Like I said, for me, I've never been to a writing conference. I've been to festivals and I've been to like conventions such as like Comic-Con and anime conventions, but I've never been to something that was exclusively for writing or book related. So I was going to, bring my notebook and fill it up with as much as I can. But again, it's going to be devastating a little bit just because with the life circumstances. Similarly, for other up and coming smaller authors or people who just don't even know where to start, something like this where an event can be free and accessible for people who might not have just tons of money to throw into a big $600 plus travel and hotel fares to go to a large writing conference. Having these things removed from, our opportunities is heartbreaking. At the end of the day, it's something that, sure, can there be more? Absolutely. Does it delay things for us? Quite possibly. If we had, if we were trying to go to this to, for instance, so our goal, me and Caitlin particularly, our goal was to kind of be done with our edits by the time we go to the writing conference. So that way we can submit inquiry for April. Like, we had kind of this whole timeline planned out. And if anything was going to change that timeline, it would have been what we learned at the writers conference. Not to say that we, don't have knowledge and we can't find this stuff out other ways, but I'm a person who needs to connect face to face. And getting that information directly from sources is so much more powerful for me than me Google searching or, scouring through Reddit. Those are great tools, and I have preached many times the benefits of Reddit and different communities like Twitter and Instagram and BookTube and AuthorTube. But face-to-face is so invaluable that I just feel like I would have absorbed more if I went. So thinking about everyone else out there, how devastating this can be if this once a year opportunity or once in a lifetime sometimes, being missed out, what is that going to really come down to? And really it's just that the possibility that this great event that was planned and, a lot like the stars kind of aligned now shifts out of focus and it's harder to see. And really it comes down to, I think, devastation. Kind of finding that will and that motivation to continue to, figure out what you can do next and seeing how it works out. All in all, I know this has been kind of repetitive and a little bit, but it definitely, I just wanted to really break it down to kind of show you the different facets of how this coronavirus is truly impacting everyone in the writing community. It's not just the fans, it's not just the published authors, and, you know, possibly to even the publishers and agents and editors. I mean, there's a lot that is going to be immovable. I think for some people it is going to be easier, like editors and agents. I don't think they technically have to meet in person for some of the things that they do. They can do stuff by phone, by Skype, by email, etc. However, there are going to be some things that I think you do need to go in person for. I'm just thinking, as a therapist, currently in my job, you know, I do much better face-to-face, as I've already said. But also there are things that I need, like, my clients to physically sign, whether it's releases or HIPAA statements or documents that, you know, maybe I have to submit for a court hearing or something. There are definitely things that I'm going to want them to, like, read, review, and sign on the dotted line kind of deal. And I would assume that some publishing, you know, because as someone who's not there yet, I would assume that that's going to be something similar, that, like, yeah, you could do all the little preamble stuff, like, over by the phone and through email, but eventually, like, you're going to have to meet in person. And what does that mean if this becomes such a problem that people can't leave their vicinity area, you know what I mean? Or, like, just don't want to risk it. I don't think, and I mean, I don't want to say this is for sure. Again, there's no research, no science in this discussion. It's just more of my thoughts. But I don't think we're going to get to the point where people have to stay in their homes, because that's almost impossible. I mean, life can't go on in that manner. But, you know, there could be a lot of things that get delayed in publishing because of the after effects of the coronavirus. So here's my, like, kind of ranty discussion on the coronavirus and how it's impacting everyone in the writing community. I believe my thoughts made sense this time. I'm not going to question them, but I would like to know from you guys what you think about the coronavirus and how it's impacted you, if any, in the writing community, whether you are just an avid reader, if you're an up-and-coming author, if you are a published author. I would love to know your thoughts down below. And if you are someone who has been impacted, how so? Has it been a canceled event? Has it been marketing issues? Has it been sending your books out? Your whatever the case, let me know down below. Join the discussion, and until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.